Hi everyone, it is the 1st of September and literally this morning I went out for a walk in the woods. I've been to Costa. I'm thinking about the year ahead quite a lot more and I was thinking to myself, I don't know, what should I do business wise this year? What should I do? And then in the woods early I was like, I know, podcast. I know we need an awful lot more teacher wellbeing. It needs to be accessible to people. People haven't got time to read blogs now. They need to listen to stuff. And if I can do sort of snippets of wellbeing on a podcast, which will be sort of no more than 20 minutes long, just talking about different aspects, then that will be hopefully at least beneficial to at least one person. So that was my thinking. So literally, I just got out of the car about 5 minutes ago, came up here and thought, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to create an introduction to the podcast that I'm going to be creating over this year on the theme of teacher wellbeing. And obviously, the 1st of September is going to be a key date in order to start that, because year on year, it just seems to get to the end of the holiday and you've managed to recharge, you're feeling refreshed, you're ready to go. And I know, well, same for me, I'm in school tomorrow and Tuesday as well. So for me, every year you get back into school and like by day two, it's like you haven't had a holiday, doesn't it? Something it's just like you just get back into it, back into the routines. And it's like the holiday was a distant memory. And I think for me this year, particularly, I've had so much variety in my summer holiday. I've kind of managed for the first time ever. I mean, this obviously my freelance and school-based sort of hybrid work life balance kind of helps with this, but and also the fact that I'm going through a divorce at the moment, so my ex has the children for some of the time as well. So all these things have helped me with my summer holiday work life, or just stress-free, chilling out balance of stuff. So I've managed to. The kids went to the dad's for 2 weeks, so I've managed to have time to myself. I've managed to go out walking. I've had lots of weekends away climbing, which has been fantastic. I've done a bit of schoolwork. I've made a webinar. I've entertained the children. We've been up to London. We've been to see a virtual reality thing at Stratford, which was really good, at Westfield, which is about pyramids. Very good. Can recommend that one. And also, I've done lots of like bike riding and walking and trying to generally entertain the children, because I've got a 4-year age gap as well, which makes it a little bit more interesting. So try and give the older one freedom and keeping the younger one under wraps as well. We've both had sickness bugs, so we've been vomiting. I've taken the most of various weekends away. So I've been in the cottage, which luckily my mum paid for a couple of days, with a swimming pool with the kids. I've also utilised free accommodation from a friend who lives on a plot of land, who has a caravan, so we stayed there for free. And also, we managed to do a sort of overnight camp in my friend's field as well, with some other people with kids. So, kind of made the most of the holiday on a budget. I feel like I couldn't have fitted anything more into it. I feel refreshed. I feel ready to go. But I know in 2 days' time, there's going to be a complete tsunami of stuff being thrown at me. And it's just going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. And teachers up and down the country, I'm seeing on my Sweary Senko Facebook group this morning, I'm seeing people going, oh, already it's Sunday. Shouldn't be doing this on Sunday, obviously, but everyone's very enthusiastic or very worried or somewhere between the two things about going back next week and what the next term is going to be like. So I've had people asking for sort of paperwork ideas. There's new Senkos asking for advice on the first day. I've seen on the head teacher chat pages lots of new head teachers going, oh goodness me, I need some ideas for inset that isn't going to alienate anyone or stress anybody out, because that's another thing, isn't it, about inset. And some of us like those flip chart activities and icebreakers, and others of us, like me particularly, I'm a bit of an introvert when it comes to those things. I don't want to sit in a circle and talk about myself or play silly games. Thank you very much. Just tell me what I need to know and let me go and sort my classroom out. So yeah, there's lots of different personalities in a school, isn't there, that you have to do that. a friend of mine as her at hers on Friday, and it was a case of she just literally got her timetable through while I was sitting there, and she was on the phone to her friend. Her friend phoned immediately going, I'm down for teaching this. I don't know why I'm teaching this. I'm not even got a qualification in this. And she's like looking at her timetable going, oh, I'm not really sure about this. So, up and down the country, there's a lot of lastminute.com stuff coming through to stress people out last minute. There's lots of unknown because we don't know what our new classes are going to be like. We don't know what new management structures are going to be like. My school's turning into an academy now, so that's going to bring with it lots of interesting things. And I think there's just within the profession, I can feel the tension, I think is the best way to describe it. I can feel the tension of like that kind of the reverberation of like a massive wobble, and everyone's anticipating going back to work and what the first few days will bring. So I don't know if I can offer some advice really for your first few days back at work. This is my 24th year in education, and I mean, I guess a common theme is expect the unexpected, I guess, because everything you think is going to happen will maybe not happen at all, or things will be different. So I think going with the flow is a really, really important life skill here, because we're all such control freaks and we all want to do such a fantastically good job, and we all want to create good first impressions. But taking everything in, relaxing into it and going with the flow, I think is kind of the way that you need to go in order to have a more chilled out first few days. So if you're anything like me, then you like stationery. So I've got one of those lovely planners with the 5 tabs. In fact, I've got it next to me here. I particularly like this one because it's a pucker pad. Love this one. It's got colouring on the front, so you can colour at the same time. I've got 5 little tabs down the side for different things, and I like my organisation in there. So I've got a massive A4 diary ready for all my appointments and stuff for my Senkoing, and go with the flow, but with pen and paper with all those organisational things, and then you can start your to-do list and start your prioritising. But at the same time, I think there's a blog on my website about being a self-fulfilling prophecy. So let's just talk to you about that for a minute, because new school year, new job, whether it's a new job or not, you always want to go in creating a good impression, because we're all altruistic people. We all want to get in there. We want to show everyone, how well we can do the job, because, we all like a bit of positive praise, don't we? And we want to do the best we can for the kids at the end of the day, don't we? Because, that's the little people at the bottom of the chain there when it comes to everything that we do in schools. So they're the important ones. We want to do our best for those children, but it is very easy to go in all guns blazing and working too much, working into the night, doing over and above everything. And I know particularly the first few weeks, with the book labelling, all those things, getting your classroom sorted out, getting those routines in place with your classes, then that can lead to an awful lot of extra work. And particularly if you shouldn't have been in the holidays. Ideally, I know I was somebody who liked to set up my classroom within the 6-week holiday as a primary school teacher, because we often move classrooms, which creates its own issues. And you should be given time in the school day, in school time, to do that. But I know that doesn't happen. So some of you have also got that classroom set up that you've been doing as well. Just getting everything in the first couple of weeks is just like a massive whirlwind of stuff. And then you've got your non-negotiables coming through at the staff meeting. But as I said, don't be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So just make sure that you cap your spending limits, I want to say. So you're just in terms of energy spending. So your energy spending limits, that you cap them. Because what will happen is you just create this cycle of you doing over and above all the time, and then everyone will be expecting you to work at that capacity. So if you're putting 120% in for the first 4 weeks, then suddenly everyone will be expecting you to carry on and do that for the rest of the time, which is not ideal, is it? Because it's obviously not a pace that you can keep sustained 120%, even 100%. I mean, I would aim for like 80% personally, because you want maybe more like 100% if Ofsted turn up, but you want to keep it at a good 80% so that you've got something left in the tank for yourself, really. So don't let your job consume you this year. I know it's easier said than done, and I know for me as well, particularly as a younger teacher, particularly when I was early on in my career, and my job was a lot higher on my priority list than it is now. So when you have a partner, when you have children, perhaps you have more things in your life that make it more difficult to juggle the job as well. But I know before I had those things, the job was kind of the most important thing to me, other than my sort of general friends relationships. So although it's really important to you, it's not something that you should burn out over. So just making sure that you relax into it, that you set really clear boundaries. So if you are a pencil and paper journal sort of person, it's probably even worth you writing down top 10 boundaries that you're going to keep this year. Make it pretty, put it on your put it on Canva or something, and create a nice poster for your classroom, and just laminate it, stick it to your desk, and then just make sure that you are sticking with those things. And you can also point it out to other people. So, for example, if you decide that you're going to leave at 4:30 twice a week, and someone says, "Oh, what are you doing now?" It's like, well, I'm pointing to my desk where it says on 2 days a week, I'm going at 4:30, and that's the final. So go at 4:30 at those times. And, just those things as well, that things don't have to be done perfectly. Good is good enough, and sometimes satisfactory is good enough, and sometimes a bit pants is also good enough, because we can't be on our 100% gains teaching 100% of the time. It's impossible, and we've all done dodgy lessons. Obviously, your lessons need to be reasonable and ideally mainly good, but we've all had those situations where we've had the odd dodgy lesson. I remember going out on the playground after one particularly horrendous lesson, saying to my friend, "Oh my goodness, it's just as well Ofsted didn't come and watch that lesson," or I'm like, "No, good as well SLT wasn't doing a learning walk at that point." So we've all been there. We've all had terrible times with lessons and stuff, but just making sure that you don't burn yourself out over trying to be 100% amazing, or singing or dancing 100% of the time as well, is really important. So yeah, lots of things there for you to consider, but that self-fulfilling prophecy just means that you end up burning yourself out, because you're just going over and above lots of the time. Everyone's then expecting you to be able to do that. You're expecting yourself to be able to do that. I used to lie to myself about how much work I was doing. Don't do that. So it's probably worth you writing on a timetable, maybe for a few weeks. Just write exactly what does happen, because I used to think to myself, well, it's less stressful for me if I just do more work and then I'll have a little bit of free time after, than having the free time and then thinking about the work that is not being done. But none of us ever have enough time in order to do everything we need to do in our jobs. So something has got to give somewhere. So just try and make sure that you are not one of those people who's just going over and above the whole time. So it's a tricky one, isn't it? And it's down to you to set those boundaries and to make them clear. So just have a think about how you're going to set those boundaries this year. Okay, so hopefully I've given you a few things to reflect on, and hopefully you'll have an amazing first few weeks of school. And I know for some people, particularly in a new school, it's those first few weeks where you're actually thinking, I don't even know what this school is going to be like, and I'm going to like it here. And you get to the first few weeks, and you start sort of seeing the odd little crack in the plastering, so to speak, and then sort of maybe questioning certain things that were sold to you at the interview, which weren't actually taking place. But as a profession, we are far too nice, far too kind, and far too forgiving. And we don't hold our senior leaders to account for things either. So if you see something that you're not happy about, it's not even as serious as like whistleblowing, for example. But obviously, if that needs to happen, it does. But if there's stuff in the first few weeks that you're not happy about, if there's boundaries that are being crossed for you that you're not happy with, then really you owe it to yourself to at least voice your opinion on that. And there are structures in place, and you can do things anonymously if that makes you feel better. You can talk things through with colleagues, you can talk to governors. If something's not happening or is happening that you're not happy about, then it's really important that you speak out about it, because you're supporting your colleagues as well if that is the case, and no doubt other people are being treated unfairly at the same time. So hopefully that's not going to be the case, and hopefully if you are in a school with excellent wellbeing, etc., then your senior leaders are the sorts of people who are going to listen carefully to feedback, and they won't be frightened of slightly bad feedback, and they will take things on board, because I know that in all the places I've worked, there's been quite a lot of differences in approaches there. So the best senior leaders I've worked with are certainly the ones who are not scared of a little bit of negative feedback, and they're willing to work with staff in order to improve situations. Just before we go, I just also want to think about a survey that I did a little while ago in my Sweary Teacher group about wellbeing. So the survey asked whether the wellbeing was good or better at their school, and I would say that only 20% of people who responded to the survey actually said that their well-being was excellent in their school, and the rest ranged from slightly dodgy to non-existent. So just in the first few weeks, just have consideration of what your well-being in your school is like. Is there any way in which it can be improved from the bottom up, so from the teaching staff up? Is there any way that if you're a senior leader, you can improve it from the top down as well and meet in the middle? Is there a way that you can have a team of wellbeing people meeting just to consider wellbeing across the school, looking at the government wellbeing policy? So that can all be in place as well. And also on the other side of it, if you find yourself in one of those 20% of schools who have fantastic wellbeing and the school's like a family, and you're very, very happy there, then I would just cling on to that with both hands, because unfortunately at the moment in education, it can be a bit of a rarity. So yes, make sure that you share those good practices on either the Sweary Senko group or maybe the Sweary Teacher group as well, with other people, because there's always people looking out for good practice in wellbeing. Feel free to write me a blog from my blog if you think that your wellbeing is particularly good in your school, or an anonymous one. Anonymous one if your wellbeing in your school is particularly bad. I'm always willing to listen to those stories as well. So there we go. In a nutshell, good luck for your first few weeks of school. Just consider your wellbeing policies, just consider your personal wellbeing, and just consider your marginal gains so that you're not burning yourself out when it comes to wellbeing. Good luck in the first few weeks. As always, there is an SOS button on my website, www.positiveyoungminds.com. And it's particularly for Senkos, but obviously if there's teachers who are having wellbeing crisis, feel free to click the button on the Senko resource page. It comes through to my WhatsApp if anyone's having any wellbeing crises, and reach out. And also don't forget, education support is always on hand as well to help with everything wellbeing related. Good luck in your first few weeks, and yeah, feel free to write your experiences on the Facebook group, or join the Facebook group if you haven't seen those before. And hopefully I will be with you soon for another episode of the podcast. Exciting times, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this academic year brings.